whether you work with little babies or whether you work with teenagers or senior adults or anybody in between, the greatest secret to effectiveness in ministry is prayer. You know, sometimes we look for new creative ways to do ministry, and we look for shiny new ways to make things work and work well, and how can we be most effective? And while looking for all these new creative ways to do ministry, we overlook the obvious. And I want to remind you of something very important, whether you work with little babies or whether you work with teenagers or senior adults or anybody in between. The greatest secret to effectiveness in ministry is prayer. Prayer. You know what? We are so good at working, at planning, at preparing and getting this ready, and we neglect the real power behind ministry, and it's the power of prayer. Now, maybe you're watching this video or listening to this training and you've got some gray hair and you've been a Christian for a long time, and you can probably nod your head and say, yes, Ryan, you're exactly right. But you know, whether you've got gray hair or whether you're just starting, we all need to be reminded of the great power of prayer. And I'm going to give you a little exercise today. This is something that's good for you. You can do it on Sunday mornings before the kids arrive. You can do this at your place of work. You can do it anywhere. You can do it at home. It is simply doing what I call a prayer walk. A prayer walk. A prayer walk is when you literally walk through a room praying for the people that are going to be in that room. If you're a children's pastor, if you're a Sunday school teacher, if you're a ministry leader, whether you teach or you lead the games or you're in charge of the crafts or whatever you do, by doing a prayer walk, I'm talking about getting to class early, showing up before anybody gets there, even if it's just 5 or 10 minutes early, and praying over those chairs, praying for every kid that walks into that room. What if you're in charge of the check-in, check-out center at the church where those kids and those parents are checking in? What if you arrived a little bit early and prayed for every family that's going to walk up to that computer and print off a check-in label, right? What if you are the worship leader at your church? What would it look like if you got there early and just did a prayer walk over that room, praying that as those kids come in, that they would really connect with the Lord in worship? You know, there is a lot of power in prayer. My pastor always says, little prayer, little power. Much prayer, much power. And if you really want the Lord to show up in your life, if you really want the Lord to show up in your class or your ministry, or your place of work, if you really want the Lord to show up in your family, in your marriage, you have got to make much of prayer. And sometimes it can be as simple as doing a prayer walk. So what does this look like for you today? What does it look like for you this week? I wonder what would happen if you just chose to walk around your house and do a prayer walk over your house. What if you got to work a few minutes early tomorrow and you prayed over the people that are going to come into your office or that are going to share that space with you? What would happen if you got to church a little bit early and prayed over those hallways, over those classrooms, over those kids that will sit in their chairs? I have to believe that the Lord is going to hear your prayer and He is going to bless your actions of faith.